Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with his good friend, Mr. Dan Bird. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for helping out the channel. Adding a diversity is like no other, so I appreciate you doing this every week. Tell us what we're going to look at here. You're going to help us understand a platform or an application and help people learn how to use it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to play in stock charts for a little bit. And a couple of weeks ago, I showed a stock. I kind of jokingly call it my stock of the week. We'll look at that one too. It was STEM, S-T-E-M. And then we toyed with the idea of maybe doing a stock of the week each week, or we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I thought I would show folks how I use stock charts to find stocks, find candidates, how I use it to organize things, and kind of the way that I look at charts and that type of thing. So we'll kind of walk through that process. And it'll be both learning how to search for stocks or maybe build a chart list or a watch list. And at the same time, learn a little bit more about how to use stock charts.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. First thing, just out of curiosity, I looked at the commodities this past week. Cotton is starting to go back up. Natural gas was already going up. But oil, I mean, most of the other ones are still headed down. Even coffee, sugar, soybeans, corn is up here. They're still kind of rolling over. Now, one of the things that I said the last time before the Fed meet, the rate increase, and I said that it would be lower, which it was. It wasn't what I predicted, which was 8.3, but it was lower, 8.5.
It was, yep.
One of the reasons that I used for that was looking at gasoline and crude oil in particular.
Sure.
And my understanding is that the dates they use for that is the 12th. So when the CPI report comes out, it's looking at least those in particular from the 12th to the 12th.
Oh, okay.
So the one for July was actually for June. It was looking for May 12th to June 12th. All right. And these all fell off a cliff right at the beginning of June. So what we want to do now in these charts is look what happened up until July 12th.
Sure.
That's what's going to appear in the next CPI report on the 13th.
Okay.
Right. So here's gasoline. The 12th, you can see here's the 11th right here. The gasoline continued down.
Sure.
It's actually continued down from there. Here's WTI crude, West Texas crude. Here's the 12th right here. So it continued down again. So that should show up in the CPI report.
Sure.
And here's Brent, also continued down. And all of those, even after the 12th, continued lower.
Okay.
So this implies to me, and same thing with wheat, lumber kept going down. Soybeans is kind of going sideways, but it dropped off a cliff right here at the end of June.
Yeah.
Sugar, coffee, cocoa, corn, all of those continued down and then just started going sideways. So based on this, I think we may get another lower headline CPI. We actually could get a higher core CPI.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. At this point, I'm more focused on core.
Yeah, and core actually could go up the next couple of times. We could go back to where we were. So one of the things I do when I start looking for stocks and just the market in general, is I look at sectors. How are the sectors doing? So this is the one I put in my newsletter this week. Here's a 1 week view of the sectors. You can see the outperformers were mostly all defensive sectors. Consumer staples, utilities, energy, healthcare, industrials sometimes can be an aggressive sector, actually. But most of these were outperforming the S&P. And the ones that were underperforming, which are the ones that you want to lead the market higher. If the market's going higher, these are the ones that should be leading. That's discretionary, technology, financial, and industrials. Okay, and you can see most of those were underperforming the S&P. So that's implying that it's kind of rotating back into defensive sectors.
Okay.
One of the reasons why I think the market's going to probably struggle next week. But let's go to stock charts. right here. So this is my main screen on Stock Charts. Stock Charts is free. You can do quite a few things, and especially for learning, you can do a lot of things with the free version. And then you could take the next step and I'm at the next level up for a subscription. So I can do more things than you could with the free one. But there's an article section that has a bunch of folks in here that publish articles that really teach a lot about technical trading. Tom Bowley is in here quite often. There is a chart school. If you want to learn anything about chart analysis, technical indicators, market indicators, anything that you want to learn about technical analysis, you can find in Stock Charts.
Nice.
There's Stock Charts TV, which is basically a YouTube channel. All those folks that are in the articles, that write articles, they also do a YouTube presentation, charts and tools, etc. So this is my dashboard. This is the way that I've set it up. So I can see, what the market movers in the NASDAQ are. These are all the scans. If you want to create scans here, you can add things to this. So you can basically customize it any way that you want. So I've added something called a scan dump, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and then stocks to watch right here. And you can change these any way that you want. So if I want this one to be something that I do each week, which is all of my best chart lists, I can put that in here. And then as the day goes on, I can watch who's coming up to the top of this list. It'll show me a quick chart of each one of these.
During a trading day, are you in front of your computer or your phone watching a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on what's going on. Like last week, I wasn't really trading other than one that I'm actually going to show you here. But it depends on what's going on. If there's some really good trades coming up in the market,
okay,
then I might be using my risk calculator and identifying good trades, which I'll show you actually how to do that. But if nothing's really going on, then what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing this kind of research here.
Okay.
I'm looking at what's moving. I'm running my scans. I'm identifying potential candidates to see what's out. Where is the market moving? That type of thing.
Okay.
So let's go in here. And one thing down here is these are all my chart lists, but you can think of these as folders of different stocks. So you can have one for all of your stocks that you're currently in. So if you have a portfolio of stocks and you want to keep those all in one place, you can put those in a chart list like this, like stocks to watch and paper trading. This is what I'm going to show you here in a second. So these are just folders. These down here for EB, these are Tom Bowley's charts. So he does exhaustive research and he puts together lists that can automatically be downloaded into my stock charts folders.
Wow.
So he looks for all charts with strong earnings, looks for all companies with strong future earnings, right? He looks for a short squeeze chart list. He looks for companies that have just raised guidance. And he puts all of those into, you can see there's 376 of them in this one, 450 in this. All right. What I do is then I also use VectorVest. And what I do is I take the best of the best out of all of these. So there's a VectorVest top 100. I'll pull that out. There's an IBD, Investors Business Daily, top 50. I'll pull those out. I'll pull out the best ones in Tom Bowley's charts, which he puts them all together in a bullish trifecta. So it's a strong earnings, raised guidance, and strong AD chart lists. Those three together, the ones that appear in all three of them will go into this one. You can see there's only 52, right? What I do is I pull all of those into one single chart list, which I call best chart lists of all. And that's the one that I run all of my scans against. So my scans are not only showing me opportunities from a technical perspective, but they're showing me those opportunities on the best of the best.
Okay.
All right. So what I want to start with is this paper trade account. And I'll talk about the scan dump. Keep that in mind and notice that it's at the very top of the list up here. And you'll see why that's important in a second.
Okay.
So paper trade is one that whenever I create a scan and I run a scan, and like I was just saying, if the market is kind of quiet and I'm just running scans, I'll look for ones that look very interesting. And what I'll do is I'll put them in this chart list called the paper trade list. Okay. And I'll mark where I got them from. In other words, which scan did they come from? and I'll mark the day that they actually appeared. Okay. So if I go to this chart book, I can step through each of these one by one. So this one here, you can see PPO cross right here. This is one of my scans.
Got it.
This is a momentum indicator. When that crosses, that's where it appeared on this list on this particular day. Now, that doesn't mean I bought it on that day, but I want to see if these scans actually are producing winners for me.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
So in this particular case, if I had bought it there, you can see it went up right there. So I could have made, what's that, 8 to
20%,
10, almost 11.
Yeah.
So could have made 20 or 25% in a week on that one.
All right.
And this lets me just walk through each of these to see how my scans are doing. So here's close above the 21-day moving average, which I actually am really loving this one right here. So there's that one, shows you, that's where I could have bought it. And that's what it did after that date.
Yeah, that would have been a winner.
Here's AMC. I did buy this one. AMC, I bought this one at about 15 the next day and sold it at about 20, 21 up here.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Right. So that's what, 3 days, 4 days. This is a meme stock too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I definitely did not want to hold that one very long. But the point is, this close above the 21-day moving average, what my scan does is it looks for stocks in that, best stock list chart, that chart list. Ones that the previous day, the low was below the 21-day moving average. But today the close is above the 21-day.
Got it.
So that shows me that it's moving above its 21-day. And 2 reasons why I like this. Number one, it shows momentum going in the right direction. But number 2, and probably most importantly, is that it gives me a really tight stop on it too. So in this case, I could put a stop down here at the 50-day, just right below it.
Right.
Or if I bought it the next day, I could put the stop right below the 21-day. Because if it's just gone through the 21-day, I don't want it going back down below it.
Right.
So I can put my stop really close. So if I'm wrong, I don't lose much money.
Right.
It's one of the reasons I really like this particular scan, close above the 21-day moving average.
Okay.
We're actually gonna look at one here. This one here actually would not have been a gain. This one would have been a loss. You see there?
Yep.
Now I didn't buy this one, but this is the same scan.
Yeah.
But this is helping me understand, are these going to work or not? So this one here, close above the 21-day moving average. Let's actually work with this one.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to actually go down here and bring that one up. That's called ARQT. ARQT, and I'm gonna use my risk calculator on this one as well.
Okay.
All right. So if I go back and look at the one that showed on the scan, it was this day right here. And by the way, I usually run the scan about 30 minutes before the close.
Okay.
So a lot of times I will actually buy it just before the close, going into the next day.
Okay.
Right. But on this particular one, it was this day right here when it went above the 21-day.
Yeah.
So it closed at 23.36.
Okay.
All right. So if I go to my risk calculator, 23.36 and the ATR is 144. All right. So my risk calculator allows me then to, I'm just going to put some fake numbers in here. Say an account has $100,000 in it.
Okay.
The ATR was 144. The price was 23. What was it? 23.
66.
Price was closed at 23.36. 23.36. I want it to be moving up the next day, so I'm going to put it needs to go up 0.5%. So 0.5%. So that means I buy it at 23.37.
Is that? Do you have one too many zeros?
Oh yeah, you're right. 0.5.
Okay.
There we go. So I would put my buy order in at 23.48.
Got it.
Okay, for the next day.
Because you're playing for it to go up. So if it goes
I'm
down, you don't
expecting
buy.
it to go down. Oh, go up. If it goes down, then I don't want it.
Got it. Okay.
Right. Now for the stop, I have to identify my stop.
Mhm.
And remember, I said I like these because of the 21-day moving average.
Mhm.
The 21-day in this case was 24.28, 24.26, looks like on this day.
Okay. Yep.
This day right here, it was about, actually it was 22.95.
Okay.
It's a 21-day moving average.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to put my stop right where that is, 22.95. And you can see it would only be a 2%, 2.25% loss
Uh-huh.
if it goes down to that. Now, what this calculator does is based on all of this information and based on these trade rule, account rule, and volatility rule, it will take the most conservative of these three rules and it will calculate the number of shares I can buy.
Right.
So now I can buy 420 shares of this. The other thing it lets me do, and this is one of the ways that I really love using this, I can put a profit target in here. Let's say I want a profit target of 4%. All right. So I don't want a big, huge gain. If I can do 4% a week, compounded,
Yeah.
that can be, serious money.
Sure.
So let's say I just want 4%. So that means my target is 24.42. All right. So I can put all those numbers in right away. If I wanted 5%, that's 24.65. So let's go back and look at that one, see what actually happened. So I would have bought it here, 23.48. It opens at 23.35. The high was 24.56, so it would have hit.
Yeah, it would have hit. Yep.
And the target was 24.65.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the very next day, the high was 25.28. So it would have hit in one day.
Wow.
5%. Look what it did though that next day.
Yeah.
It crashed.
It did.
But using this kind of method, I actually would have made 5% in one day. And I can put my stop price and my target exit price on the same order at the same time.
Nice.
This is for traders. It's not for long-term investors.
Yeah, you're not getting it. Yeah.
Right.
Trader.
But that's the way that I use stock charts, the way that I use my risk calculator. Just out of curiosity, let's look at STEM. This is the one that I identified 2 weeks ago. You can see it's just going sideways. Yep. Now I'm in this at about 1475, sorry. So right now it's a little bit below, but you can see it's trading sideways inside of this box. This is basically a Darvas box. This is a great example of a Darvas box. For those that don't know, there's a book on my book list written by Nicholas Darvas. He was a ballroom dancer for the 50s, and he created a whole strategy around this and made a lot of money.
Yeah, he did.
And what his strategy is if it goes through the top of the box, he buys more. And typically a strong company will go up, form another box. And when it goes out of the top of that one, he buys more. And he just keeps doing that until it drops through the bottom of the box.
Got it.
So I actually have a buy order in here at 1710 because I only entered 1/3 of my position. Got it. In this. So I can wait. If it goes down and hits the 21-day here, I can buy some more lower. But if it doesn't, if it stays in the box and starts going up, as soon as it goes out of the top of the box, I'm going to buy the next third of the position and follow it up and see if it makes another box. Okay. Now, how do I find these? How do I do a search to find some of these? So I'm going to, down here in the search, let me go back to the dashboard. Down here in the search area, you can create all of these different searches. And I've created one that's called, well, let me do it up here in my, so I've got them all here in my daily scans. I've got one here called close greater than the 21-day moving average. Okay. All right. So I run that search and there's the stocks. It gives me 16 stocks. All right. And it ranks them all in what's called scooter order. This is a stock charts thing that compares the long term, the medium term, and the short term. And it ranks them by technical strength, basically. But it's not just short term. It actually puts more weight on the long term, medium weight on the medium term, less weight on the short term.
Okay.
And it ranks them. So 96 is a pretty high ranking on this one.
Mm.
Now there's 16 of them here. So if I want to look at these, what I do is I move it to a chart list. So when I click on this save to a chart list, I want to find a chart. I'm going to replace the list. And the very first one on my list, look at that. Remember I said,
Yep.
Remember that scan dump?
Yep.
This is just a chart list that I dump everything into.
Got it.
When I'm doing searches to let me work on it. So you can create this yourself. Just create one, make sure it's at the top of your list.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to dump all of these, preserve the sort order, dump them all into this chart list. So now they're all in this chart list here, and now I can do stuff with it.
Mm-hmm.
I can do a summary. This shows me, percent change for the day, and it shows me this one here is the one that moved the most.
Mm-hmm.
The next two down here are interesting because they are both in the same sector, discretionary, and they're both in the same industry. So that's very interesting. They're both in the education group.
Interesting.
And they're both moving pretty well. So now if I want to look at all of these, I can either do a candle glance where I can look at them all together.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this set up with the accumulation distribution at the top. And then the one at the bottom is comparing to its industry. So this is a relative strength.
Mm-hmm.
Is this stock stronger than its peers in its industry group or weaker than its peers?
Got it.
And this lets me see that right away. And this is a way that I can look at all these very quickly. And I can see these two, this ATGE and PRDO are the two that I mentioned before. You can see the accumulation distribution is really strong. The chart's moving up. They're outperforming their peers. This one here, beginning to outperform its peers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those look really interesting.
Okay.
I can also look at it in a chart book view, which shows me each one, and I can then step through it. And this is the way that I do that paper trade thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The way I do it, I look at each one. So here's the ATGE, which I thought was interesting. Look at that. It ended at its high. It broke out of the 21 day. That's a great candidate right there. RSI is moving up, and here's its industry group is moving higher, and it's outperforming or nearly outperforming its own peers. So that's a good candidate. Let's look at the other ones. Here's PRVA. That one looks pretty good. It's just beginning to break out just above the 21 day. Remember, I like the 21 day because I'm going to set my stop right there just below the 21 day.
Right.
So even if I'm wrong, I'm not going to lose much money. That one looks pretty good. Here's Corcept Therapeutics. That one looks pretty good. Volume's a little bit low. And here's the one that I actually bought last week. This is my chart. This is my stock of the week. PRDO.
Okay.
Above the 21 day, it ended at the high for the day.
So when you say you bought it Friday?
I bought it Friday. That's right.
Okay.
The volume is above average.
Mm.
The momentum indicators are just moving up.
Mm-hmm.
It's beginning to outperform its own peers. Its industry group is solid. And its industry group is outperforming the S&P right now. Its own industry isn't quite outperforming its sector, but it's starting to move up. And look at the accumulation distribution.
Yeah, way up there. Yep.
So that's the accumulation distribution has just been going straight up, and it's at 52-week highs right here. So this is a great candidate. So I bought this one, and I did it with, put a stop in down here, and I put a sell order in at 13, whatever 5% was. It's like 13, 14, I think, somewhere around here.
Yeah, this again is a trade.
This is a trade, and this doesn't have to be a trade. This one, if you're doing this against, like in this case, I'm doing it against all of those best chart lists that I mentioned before.
Sure.
So those are already kind of filtered for the best charts, the best stocks out there. It's the best VectorVest ones, the top 100. It's the best Investors Business Daily, the top 50. It's the best from Tom Bowley's list of charts, strong earnings, strong raised guidance. The best of all of those combined into one list. And by the way, when you do that in stock charts, it strips out the duplicates.
Oh, nice.
So you may have the stocks in all three of those lists, but stock charts will strip those out, just leave one of them.
Okay.
So this is run against those best of the best.
Hmm.
So if you're doing that, this is a good way to do long-term investing as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that's just starting to move up, and it might continue. Now, at the end of the day, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, I didn't look at the news yet, but at the end of the day, the after hours on this was at 1350.
Mm-hmm.
It was already up here. I don't know if it's going to open there. It may not.
Right. Okay.
Because after hours is low volume.
Yeah.
So, but if it does open at 1350,
you're out.
Not only is my exit order going to execute, but it's going to execute higher than what I set it for. It's going to actually execute at 1350, not 1314.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So not only will I make 5%, I'll probably make 7 or 8% in one day. So that's kind of how I do it. That's kind of the power of stock charts. I kind of explained a few things about how to use it, the scan dump, chart list to dump everything into so that you can play around with it. That's important. But, this is a great way to identify candidates for your watch lists.
Very cool. This is so much fun. Again, they can get this. They just go to stockcharts.com, I assume.
Stockcharts.com. You just need an email to sign up.
Very cool.
You'll get a lot of, I'm an extra member. So extra members allow me to have, I think you only get to create one scan. You're a regular member.
Okay.
And something like maybe 10 chart lists.
Right.
I can have up to 250 chart lists. I can have up to 200 scans.
Cool.
I'm at 197. So I've got a lot of them in there already.
Yeah.
But I can have up to 200. So you can do a little bit. You can't do everything, but for free. I mean, it's a great way to learn technical analysis because it's got the chart school, it's got the articles.
Very cool.
All that's in there.
Well, Dan, thank you very much for bringing this. One more time, show your newsletter in case somebody wanted to get that.
Sure. There you go.
There you go. Breakpointtrading@gmail.com. Something I get each week. If you want it, he'll get it to you for free. If you don't want it anymore, he'll take you off. It's really that simple.
No problem. No, and a few folks actually have sent me notes and said, what about this? And I'm looking at this, and if I have time, I'll reply and respond. Yeah. But it's just educational.
Yeah.
I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not recommending, even the ones that I showed today, I'm not recommending anybody buy those.
No.
I don't know what people's risk profile looks like.
Yep.
Everyone's on their own. This is really just educational purposes. So.
Yep. Very cool, Dan. Well, I appreciate you doing this. We'll talk next week.
All right. You bet. Have a good weekend.
You too.